Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Hope you're all doing very well. We have the ability in front of us to become messengers of the King. First, the first prerequisite to make ourselves messengers of the King, we have to realize who the King is, and we have to crown him as King. So the King is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of Israel, Hashem. He is the King. He is the King of Kings. He's the one in charge. And we have to make ourselves completely subservient, completely given over to him. This whole month, this special holiday, ROSH HASHANAH, is when we crown Hashem as King. As you know, a king needs a nation. The nation gives the king the desire to reign, to be king. So when we show Hashem that we want him to be our king, we arouse his desire to reign over us and to bring us closer to him and make us more trusted messengers of him. So the second part of this prerequisite of this system, of this mission, is to become messengers of the king. First, we have to recognize and crown the king and realize who the king is, and try to begin to realize how great the king is and how much he adores each and every one of us. And the next step is making ourselves a messenger of him. So what we have to realize, what we have to internalize and be aware of, is that everything in this world is being run by God. From the most smallest detail to the biggest detail. From the leaf falling from the tree to a war going on. Everything is being run by Hashem. And when we make ourselves aware of that, we start to tap into the godliness enclosed in everything. Because while it is true Hashem is completely running the show, at first glance, a person may not realize this. Sometimes this is hidden. We have to look deeply into it. Look into it with the mind of our seichel, our intellect, with our chokhmah, our wisdom and our understanding, our God-given abilities to decipher and discern the godliness and to tap into the godliness that's hidden within everything. And we have to reveal it. So this is a very healthy mindset because it allows us to be one with God on all of our travels, all of our missions. So even when we may find ourselves, God forbid, in a difficult situation, we'll realize that it's the one above putting us into this situation in the first place. And when we have God crowned as our king throughout our day, we'll tap into God's interest in us, and we'll see that this challenge is not really a challenge at all, but it's rather an opportunity. So this is an important message, because whenever we find ourselves in any situation, good or bad, we have to realize that everything actually in the end is good, and even right now it is good because God is causing it to happen. People say, how does God allow this to happen? God is not allowing anything to happen, my friends. God is causing everything to happen. So the second we allow that to sink in, we'll realize that everything is part of this plan, and that Hashem is waiting and is ready and is desiring to bring the Mashiach. He just wants us to be ready. And that no matter how tragic something may seem, we know that Hashem is going to bring the Mashiach. And Hashem is going to revive the dead, resurrect the dead. Hashem is going to wipe away all the tears as prophesied. Hashem will wipe the tears off of each and every one of our faces. So then we'll realize that all of what's happened is just a process to bring the coming of Mashiach. That every simple step, dark or light, every step of the way was a necessary component to bring the Mashiach. But the most important part of this all is that Hashem gives the ability in our hands to sweeten this process, to hasten this process, to accelerate this process, and to expand this process. Meaning, Hashem is bringing the Mashiach, but He's either going to bring the Mashiach with or without us. So, the more we make ourselves aware of God, the more we make ourselves interested in God, the more we crown Hashem as King in our lives, the faster we bring Mashiach, and we bring Him in a sweeter, a more exciting, a peaceful manner, rather than in a more intense and maybe chaotic manner. Based off our attitude, if we become more involved in God's will and we make ourselves more interested in what God is interested in, we bring Mashiach in a sweeter, faster manner. And then we'll realize actually that we'll forget about ourselves. We'll forget about the Yetzirah, the ego that tries to separate us from the one above. The more we become interested in being messengers of Hashem, the more we make ourselves nullified and bittul, the Hebrew word is bittul, surrendered and nullified to God. And we have no will of our own, but rather we're like an arm of God carrying out His will. We're like a soldier carrying out the will of his master. We're completely subservient to God. And then when we make ourselves that humble before God, automatically we cause ourselves to be vessels for God to fill us, and God fills us and takes us and carries the mission out through us and brings us to greater heights than we would ever be able to reach on our own, beyond infinitely greater heights than we'd ever be able to reach on our own. So this starts with us crowning God as King and living our lives with Hashem as our King, and then we'll realize that actually all the difficulties are not difficulties, they're challenges, but even deeper, the Rebbe says they're not even challenges, they're opportunities to get us closer to the one above and to bring Hashem into this world, because we know when Mashiach comes, the world will become completely revealed with God's presence, and the revelations that will shine here on this world will be greater than any godly revelations that are going on in heaven right now. Hashem is planning something spectacular for each and every one of us. Let's accelerate this process. Let's make it happen today. May Hashem bless you all. Be well.